Superhuman.
Welcome back to Superhuman from London Science Museum. Before the break, you saw the contestants take a VO2 max test, the ultimate test of physical fitness. But how did they score and who's on their way home? Kevin.
The contestants were ranked according to how high their anaerobic threshold was and how far above predicted their total oxygen consumption was. In the men's group, there was a surprise win for Jack. Whether his victory was a product of his genes or training isn't clear. Nevertheless, he scored maximum points. Monty, despite his very low anaerobic threshold, battled incredibly hard for second place. Ben came in third, followed by Wes. Mark, however, finished last. For the women, Nina and Sue took first and second positions, followed by Rachel in third. Vicky took fourth position and Shima came in last.
Superhuman.
But what about the overall scores? Who's staying and who is going to be eliminated?
Elimination.
In the men's group, in first place, we have Ben on 26 points, followed by Monty on 24. In third place, Wes on 17, with Jack 2 points behind on 15 and Mark has just 8. In the women's group, Sue and Nina are in joint first place with 23 points. Rachel has 19. Vicky's got just 16 points and Shima has just 9. So at the halfway stage with 6 tests done, it's Mark and Shima who are eliminated. Well done, you two. Come and join me. Let's have a round of applause for Mark and Shima. Well done, both of you. It's been tough, has it not?
Yeah, it has.
Mark, did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, sort of, yeah. Yeah, it's okay, yeah.
Did you learn anything about yourself?
No, nothing whatsoever.
Really?
No.
Well, you don't like heights very much, do you?
I'm not afraid of heights at all, got no problem with heights. No.
Ah,
No.
OK. Well, he's putting up a brave fight right up until the end. And Shima, did you enjoy taking part in the competition?
Yeah, I had a fantastic time. I met some really great people.
Well done to both of you. You've both been fantastic. Thank you so much. Mark and Shima, well done. Now, if you've ever gazed across at a drop-dead gorgeous person sitting opposite you on the train and wondered if they have a better life than you, well, the chances are they do. Scientists believe physical attractiveness is a key component of success. So, with Professor Dave Perrett and his team from St Andrews University, we decided to test our contestants' attractiveness. For the first part of your attractiveness test, I have here photographs of all of you, and I would like you, as a group, to rank yourselves in order of attractiveness, starting from 1 being the most attractive and 8 the least attractive. You've got 5 minutes to complete the test. Good luck to all of you.
As we develop from an egg to an adult, we grow outwards from a line of symmetry that runs from here to here. You can feel this line if you run your tongue along the roof of your mouth. Our cells are supposed to develop in a perfect mirror image along this line, and this symmetry in our appearance is recognised as attractiveness by other people. But random events in our lives, such as traumatic childhood diseases, mean that we actually grow up looking slightly different on each side. When we choose a good-looking partner, we're actually pulling off a clever evolutionary trick. The attractive face signals health and brings with it a package of genes that, in theory, give our offspring a better chance of growing up fit and healthy.
Let's go round, starting at Sue. Who do you think should be number 1?
I'd go for Jack because I'm going to smile.
OK, do whatever. Who gets the most votes?
Jack rates highly.
I think Wes.
Yeah, I've got to go. Wes.
OK, so Jack's got 2.
But I'm not getting
Wes
good
got
at
2. Jack, who do you think?
I would put.
He's done that before.
Nina.
Do you know
I'd
what?
say Nina.
The way they're laid out now, I'm agreeing with the way they're laid out now.
You would, mate. You're number 1.
Of course you are. I mean,
Ben, go on. Who do you
I'll
think?
stick with Wes, actually.
OK, so Wes has got 3, Jack's got 2.
You've got 1.
I've got 1. Jack.
I would put. It's out of. Seriously.
Come on, mate. Quick.
Jack.
6 and 7 needs Sorry, changing, I'll go Wes.
OK, right, so Wes is number 1. Is that OK? Because you got the most votes.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. Next person, number 2.
I'd agree with that.
OK, okay?
I'd agree with that as well.
Fine,
Yeah,
right.
it
Next
is.
person, number 3.
I think
Jack.
possibly Jack and Vicky, possibly swapping around.
Yeah, I'd go on.
I think Jack, I'd put Jack at number 3.
Yeah, I agree
yeah.
with that. Yeah, go on then.
Is everybody happy, by the way, with Jack
Yeah.
as number 3?
Yeah.
I'm not, obviously, yeah.
Well, yeah, but how many votes has got Jack as number 3?
Can't vote for
Yeah.
yourself first.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's what
So-
we'll do then. Sorry, there you go. Are we leaving that as number 4?
I'd say leave that.
Yeah. I think that's good.
I'd say let's go as 5.
Yeah, agree.
I'd say swap 6 and 7.
I'd say Sue needs to.
Definitely. Definitely.
Sue's definitely over here. Can you check that over?
Shifts us
Not being funny, I would put.
you see, this is
Hang on, because I can't see.
Oh, sorry, no, we've got to be hard. We've got to
Yeah,
be
no,
like
yeah.
totally.
I'd say
Well,
swap
well,
7 and 8.
yeah.
So that's.
And folks,
I object to that.
I
I
would, no,
completely.
maybe on the photograph, I would put 8 and 7.
Who isn't happy?
None of us are happy because none of us are. Only Wes is happy.
Well,
basically.
no,
I didn't vote
yeah,
for
but no,
myself.
but
I didn't
you
vote
have
for
to.
you.
yeah.
Wes thinks he should be slightly
Apart
higher,
from myself.
unfortunately.
Is there another bit somewhere else? Is there
No, I think that's a very good reflection.
taking myself out of it, that's the way I'm putting it.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's say, yeah.
Right.
Well done, all of you. Thank you for that. I know that must have been really quite difficult. Now, as there are only 8 of you, it's difficult to consider this result scientific. So Linda has also shown your photos to a large group of people between the ages of 20 and 40 to see how they would rank you. So, Linda, how did the overall results pan out?
Okay, according to our participants, the most attractive person in the group was Nina.
Okay, should we move, swap those two around?
Second most attractive was Wesley. And the third most attractive was Jack. The fourth most attractive was Monty. The fifth was Ben.
Okay.
Sixth was Vicky. Seventh was Sue, and eighth was Rachel.
Wow. So things have moved around a bit, but not in the ranking of the first 3.
Not really.
Would
no.
you have expected that, Linda?
These 3 were actually considered exceptionally attractive compared to a normal population. So it's highly likely that even amongst themselves they're going to be considered the most attractive.
Okay, why did Rachel come last in this ranking and 5th here? Because I think Rachel's a very beautiful woman.
May I shoot the photographer?
Well, one of the things we commented on when we were first looking at the photograph is that she looks slightly edgy. She's smiling from the mouth, but not as much in the eyes, which suggests that she's slightly unsettled beneath the smile, which could be interpreted negatively by some people.
Okay. Wes, you've done exceptionally well on both the rankings there. Do you find that being good looking has helped you in your life?
Yeah, almost definitely. It seems people are more open to helping you and it seems to open certain doors that could otherwise not be.
Jack, do you find that psychologically growing up as an attractive kid, that helped you?
Well, if I had a bit more blonde hair, perhaps I would have done a bit better.
Ooh, controversial.
Oh, meow.
You can't argue with 3rd place here, can you?
Well, I can. I mean, it's not a disgrace to be 3rd. Obviously, I see myself different.
What, higher or lower would you have put yourself?
Well, I would have put myself 1st.
Right, generally,
Actually,
you
generally I would
think you're
have.
better looking than
No,
everyone?
I don't think I'm better looking. I just think I don't think I'm better looking than anybody. I think we're all beautiful, but I'm
The other
obviously
7 of us.
Yeah,
and
you
so
obviously do.
obsessed by my own how I look. And
I don't
so,
feel I'm any better, but I should be number 1.
Yeah,
It's sort of-
he's honest,
It's a
though.
contradiction.
At least he's being honest.
that's how
Give him
I
credit for
feel.
being open.
That's how I feel, and you guys know that because I've said that to you.
And moving on, Nina. Now, you have done extremely well. Do you find that being good looking has helped you?
I think I'd be naive if I, didn't agree with that. But having said that, a bit of blonde fluff, as Jack was nicely put. People have misconceptions, and people will always have misconceptions, and that won't change. And just the idea is that hopefully people aren't going to just judge you by your appearance, and once you open your mouth, you will hopefully be able to convey the fact that you're more than just a pretty face with blonde hair.
Right, that's interesting. Linda, what do you make of that? Because I would agree that sometimes if you're too blonde or you're too pretty, people actually think that you're not intelligent.
There is evidence to suggest that women who are extremely attractive do sometimes suffer some discrimination.
But if you are attractive, you're more likely to be successful because
Yes.
people will warm to you and want to be with you. Well done, all of you. You've now completed this part of the test.
Super Cupid. Well,
Well, that was actually much more revealing than we'd expected. Jack, you couldn't have made it more obvious that you were unhappy with third place. I mean, most people would have been pretty thrilled with that. Why did it matter so much to you?
OK, I've had a bit of time to think about this.
Good.
Believe it or not, some of it was tongue-in-cheek, playing to the camera and stuff, but I still maintain that, you know, third place, you know, I'll settle for that.
You will now settle for third place,
I've got no choice, have I?
OK. Now, Ben, I was quite amazed that all this squabbling was going on about third place, and you were very quiet about being lumped at the bottom of the attractiveness heap. You didn't seem to care, really.
Well, there's three things, really. Firstly, there's a formidable competition here, as you can see. Secondly, I had a bit of a dodgy haircut at the time, so doesn't really help. And thirdly, I think attractiveness is a pretty subjective thing. So I'm happy with that.
Well, as well as the test you've just seen, the contestants also took another test where they had to spot symmetry from a large range of similar-looking faces. Both test results were added together to give the following scores. Well, despite Jack's unhappiness at not getting the top position from the poll, he managed to turn things around and get top marks in the test overall, taking 5 points, with Wes in second place and Ben in last place for the first time in the competition. Nina took first place for the women and Rachel came last. So how does that affect the positions on the leaderboard? Kevin?
Ben's still in first place with 28 points, Monty's just behind on 27, Wes has 21 points and Jack's still in last place with 20. Nina's still top on the women's board with 28 and Sue's 2 points behind. Rachel's in third place with 21 and Vicky picked up a valuable 4 points but will still need to do very well in the next 2 tests to avoid elimination.
Super.
The competition is very close indeed. Now, for most of us, trying to remember the name of someone we haven't seen for a while can be really difficult. But try remembering after swimming free from a helicopter crash. Well, that might be superhuman. Linda, why is memory a good area to test, and what will it tell us about our contestants?
Well, memory is a very, very important cognitive skill. A good memory probably determines efficient performance, perhaps success in life.
OK, so what happens to memory then when we add stress into the equation?
When you put stress in the equation, you affect arousal, and arousal affects your ability to learn material and to consolidate memories. Now, what we're doing today is actually a test we call the FACES test. This is about integrating face information with name and occupation, and then later asking the contestants to recall that material after they've completed a very stressful task.
So our contestants will have to remember faces, names and occupations. They'll only have a few seconds to take in this information, and they're going to have to recall it, having been subjected to this. Strapped into a helicopter crash simulator in pairs, the contestants will be plunged into cold water and rotated upside down. From here, they must escape by releasing their belts, forcing open a door and swimming back to the surface, all on one breath of air. Immediately, they'll be asked to recall the names and occupations of the 10 faces they were shown earlier. And to make this test even more difficult, they'll be doing it in the dark.
Okay, contestants, stay together and follow me.
First up were Sue and Monty.
Okay, contestants, step into the module.
Problem straight away when Sue doesn't manage to take in enough air as the water rises over her. She begins to panic. She can't find her way out, and our safety diver has to rescue her.
Contestant name.
It's Carol.
Name. Alfred, photographer. Name.
Duncan, he's a receptionist.
Name. Helen, don't know what she does.
Carol.
Occupation. I need an occupation.
I don't know.
Name?
Peter, accountant.
Occupation?
Trainer.
Name?
Ruth, don't know what she does.
Name?
Stephen.
Occupation?
He's a hairdresser.
Nick, shopkeeper.
Congratulations, contestant. You completed your task.
Sue, how did you find it?
That was absolutely crap. It was dreadful. It was so scary. We didn't even have any time to think when we went in. And it just seemed like forever. And I forgot to then take my breath. So as soon as we went under the water, I began to panic because I had no air inside my lungs. And then all I knew was just to get my seatbelt off to get out. So I did that, and then I was like gulping for air and panicking and just trying to find a way to get out and grab onto something.
I could feel her starting to go, so I was trying to get the window off. So I undid the handle and was quite slow in pushing the window. And by then we'd been down just a couple of seconds longer than necessary, really.
So in terms of a very stressful situation, how highly does that rank for you?
Oh, right up there.
The fear and stress we experience when faced with a frightening situation like this significantly affects the way memory is laid down. To remember information, the brain has to organise it, then log it into our long-term memory, ready for retrieval. When frightened, low levels of the stress hormones our bodies release may actually improve this logging process, but higher levels are thought to make it progressively worse. While the contestants are being subjected to these extreme conditions, that process is being pushed to the limit.
The rest of the tests were not without incident. Nina struggled through her fear of water and scored 8 out of a possible 20, while Vicky scored 6. Next in were Rachel and Ben. True to form, Rachel excelled in the heightened atmosphere and scored a remarkable 14 out of 20. The battle between Ben and Monty continued apace. This time, Ben scored 12, 1 point behind Monty's 13.
Contestant, swim over to me.
Likewise, Wes scored 12.
Name?
Lisa, engineer.
But Jack struggled.
Come on. Name? Occupation?
And finally completed the task with 5 points out of a possible 20.
Here's Lisa.
Contestant, you completed the task.
As well as the helicopter test, our contestants were also subjected to a rigorous exam to give a more detailed picture of their memory capacity. The scores from both tests have been combined to give the following results. Explorer Monty and firefighter Wes showed the coolest heads under stress, coming out on top of the men. Free climber Rachel came in first place for the women, with Nina a surprise second place despite her fears before the test. Overall, Monty's now just 1 point ahead of Ben on 32. Wes is in third place, and Jack's still trailing behind with just 22. Nina's now 3 points ahead of Sue on the women's board with 32 points. Rachel's third with 26, and Vicky's still in last place on 23.
Super.
Well, that was definitely one of the most difficult tests so far. Sue, watching that back now, does it bring back terrible memories?
Yeah, it is quite scary actually, even to look at it on the video. It was a horrible test. But actually, I think I did quite well in the memory bit afterwards, surprisingly.
You did, which shows superhuman potential, because to pull yourself back from that level of panic is quite phenomenal. Now, Monty, I know this wasn't a test of humanity, it was about memory, but I mean, you're an ex-Marine. Surely the policy should have been, don't leave a fallen man behind. Where were you?
I felt absolutely wretched when we'd finished, and I actually apologised to Sue at the end, because Sue had been so capable at everything up to that point that I just kind of forgot about her as I was getting... I think I actually trod on her at one point as I was getting out. And it was only afterwards, and I found out she'd had this massive drama in there. So, yeah, I felt really bad, you know.
Only one more test to go before our second elimination. So, we thought we'd make these superhumans really suffer in our sleep control test. But right from the start, it looked like it might all get too much for the boys.
Superhuman. Superhuman.
Welcome back to Superhuman, where the search for Britain's most physically and mentally perfect human being shows no sign of abating. After the next test, our 2 lowest scorers will be eliminated. So, let's check out the leaderboard. Well, the competition is still fierce between Monty and Ben. Wes is on 25 points, with Jack in last place on 22. In the women's group, Nina's in the lead on 32 points, giving her a 3-point lead over Sue, who has 29 points. Rachel's on 26 and Vicky's in last place on 23 points. So it's crucial to Jack and Vicky that they do really well in our next test, sleep control, if they've got any chance of staying in the game. Let's see how they did.
With the pressures of modern life, many people have to perform demanding and stressful work in a state of chronic sleep loss. In this test, the superhuman is the person who's able to function best while sleep deprived, and yet also has the ability to get good quality sleep when the opportunity is presented. The contestants are first wired up with electrodes so that we can monitor their brain's electrical activity to know precisely when they're awake and asleep. The contestants are then kept in a brightly lit room for 48 hours to sleep deprive them in preparation for the upcoming test. It's essential that they stay awake, otherwise they will lose points.
First up are the girls. Let's see how they coped during their sleep deprivation.
How could I forget about you? You're the only person I know.
Jesus, that is really strange.
After 48 hours, it's time to put the girls out of their misery.
This test shows how well the contestants perform while sleep deprived and how quickly they can get to sleep when allowed to. They'll be placed in individual bedrooms where they'll undertake a simple performance test, in this case pressing the spacebar when they see 3 consecutive odd numbers displayed on a laptop. This deliberately boring test lasts for 30 minutes, after which the lights go out and the contestants are allowed to go to sleep for the first time in 48 hours. Their head electrodes are monitored to see exactly how much sleep each contestant gets. Then, after half an hour, the lights go back on and the laptop test starts again. This pattern is repeated over 6 hours, and at the end of the test, the scores added up, giving us the contestant who can best switch between high alertness and sleep.
Well, the girls have finished their first test, and for the first time, they have a chance to sleep. Sue, how are they doing?
Well, Sue and Vicky fell asleep very, very quickly in 4 minutes, and they've gone straight into deep sleep, so they were obviously very tired. We've got Rachel, she fell asleep a few minutes later, probably in about 6 minutes, and again she's in slow wave sleep, so in deep sleep. Whereas Nina took quite a long time to fall asleep, and in fact she's awake now, although she did sleep for a good 15 minutes.
Why do you think Nina's only been asleep for 15 minutes?
It could be that she's not feeling very comfortable sleeping in our laboratory, or it could be that she's playing a very clever game and waking up a little bit early so she's on top form for the test.
Because they've only got 30 minutes, haven't they, to sleep?
They do.
After just half an hour's sleep in 48 hours, the girls are woken up by a combination of extremely loud white noise and bright lights as the tests continue. As the girls are woken up again and again, they'll suffer from sleep inertia, the drowsiness associated with a disrupted sleeping pattern. The quicker they get over it, the better.
Sue, we're halfway through the test. Has anything of interest happened?
Yes, it has. Nina has yet to make a mistake on the performance test. She's exceptional. We've only seen a few subjects do so well as she's doing, but she's not sleeping at all. And we think this is helping her performance, but we are finding that unusual. But on the other hand, Sue is performing quite badly. She's finding it very difficult to wake herself up and to perform well.
So how's Vicky doing?
She's sleeping relatively well and she's performing relatively well, as is Rachel.
So how hard is it for them to perform well on this test?
It's extremely difficult. It's a very dull, boring vigilance test, so it's very difficult to keep their motivation and to keep performing at a high level.
Nina, hi there.
Morning.
How are you feeling?
I'm very glad that's over.
How did you find it?
The test itself I didn't find too bad, but I couldn't sleep.
What were you doing when you were doing the test?
Accenting it, so if it was a 9, I'd be going, and that was me clocking it was a 9. Then if it's an even number, I didn't nod. So it was a physical stimulus for me to go, that's the start of your chain of 3.
How tired are you now?
I feel... I'm obviously quite tired and feel a little bit strange.
Did it get faster? Or was that just me?
Now the boys' turn.
Let X equal the number of men she told you she slept with. Let Y equal the actual number.
5, 6, 2, 7. Go, yeah, first. Mate, you're f***ing trash to join.
The other way, you know? Right.
Sports people are very good when they come and take to sport, you know?
48 hours later, the boys' sleep deprivation period comes to an end. So the boys have finished their first test. Now, are they sleeping?
Yes, they are. Jack fell asleep very quickly. In fact, he was asleep within about 3 minutes. Wesley and Ben fell asleep in quite similar times, around about the 10-minute mark. And Monty has just fallen asleep, but he took a little bit longer, about 20 minutes.
Okay, well, let's see if it evens itself out across the next few tests. After just 30 minutes sleep in 48 hours, bright lights and white noise are used to wake up the boys so that the testing can continue. Sue, 3 tests in, how are the boys doing?
Well, it's quite interesting. Monty's yet to make a mistake, so he's performing very, very well. Next we've got Ben, who's just made a few mistakes. Wesley's next, having made a few more mistakes. And then Jack's the worst performer out of the 4. But he's sleeping the best, so it could be that he's still feeling quite drowsy from his sleep period, so that he's making all the mistakes at the beginning, but maybe not making so many towards the end.
Jack, how are you doing?
I've just crossed the finishing line. Obviously, I'm shattered, mentally shattered, exhausted, confused, bemused. But I've learnt another thing about myself. And I tell you, anybody at home watching this have no idea what you've put us through.
I had enough. Really had enough of it.
You're finding it really hard?
The first ones weren't bad, but now it's just so boring to keep doing that thing all the time. Over and over again, it's just like, it's torture.